When you hear the name Dick Cheney, what comes to mind? The vice president that shaped America's response to 9/11? The architect of the Iraq War? Or the strategist who stood in the center of power, often in the shadows? We live in his world today. The surveillance cameras, the airport checks, the data collection, all part of the post-9/11 framework Cheney built. For Muslim and immigrant communities, those policies shaped identity, travel, and trust in government.
Dick Cheney is being remembered as the most powerful vice president in modern US history, following the announcement of his death at the age of 84.
With the passing of Dick Cheney, America reflects on a complex and consequential life, one that continues to shape how this country sees war, security, and power. In this episode of The American Side, we're going to unveil and unravel things that you don't know about Dick Cheney.
American side, who tells the truth when the truth hides? American side.
He got into Yale on scholarship and flunked out. The Miller Center notes he later admitted, "I just wasn't mature enough." By his early 30s, Cheney was in Washington, working under Donald Rumsfeld during the Nixon and Ford years. In 1975, AP News reported that President Ford appointed him the youngest White House Chief of Staff in US history, just 34 years old. That's Mamdani's age today, by the way. Cheney went from a small town in Wyoming straight to the Oval Office. Fast forward to 1989, under President George H.W. Bush, Cheney became Secretary of Defense. PBS Frontline describes his calm, analytical style during the 1991 Gulf War. Quiet power, no drama. And here's something many forget. Cheney actually opposed invading Baghdad then. Ironically, a decade later, he'd helped lead the war that did exactly that. After leaving government, Cheney didn't retire. From 1995 to 2000, he ran Hubbilton, one of the world's largest oilfield service companies. The New York Times reported he earned more than $40 million in compensation and stock options. Then, when George W. Bush launched his presidential campaign in 2000, Cheney was put in charge of finding a vice president candidate. After months and months of searching, he ended up picking himself. Classic Cheney.
I believe you're looking at the next vice president of the United States.
On September 11, 2001, when the attack struck, President Bush was in Florida. Cheney was in a secure bunker under the White House, giving the order to shoot down hijacked planes if necessary. The 9/11 Commission report confirms those orders came from him directly. What followed reshaped America. The Patriot Act expanding surveillance, quote-unquote enhanced interrogation approved under his guidance, and a new war doctrine that The Guardian called Cheney's blueprint for a permanent security state. He once told PBS Frontline, "We have to work the dark side."
I was angry, I think like a lot of Americans. I also had expectations that this would become an issue that would absolutely dominate our time in office.
For many Muslims and American immigrants, that dark side meant real fear, racial profiling, and lost civil liberties. Behind the iron persona was a man who was in a struggle with his own heart, quite literally. The New York Times chronicled that Cheney suffered 5 heart attacks beginning in his 30s. He underwent bypass surgery, pacemakers, and in 2012 received a heart transplant. Even his health battles mirror his political life, private, defiant, and unflinching. Despite his conservative legacy, Cheney's private life defies stereotypes. When his daughter Mary came out as gay, he defended her publicly. NBC News replayed his 2004 quote, "Freedom means freedom for everyone." When Cheney left office in 2009, Gallup pegged his approval rating near 13%, one of the lowest ever. But his influence still echoes.
Soon our men and women in uniform will once again have a commander-in-chief they can respect.
Expanded presidential power, preemptive war strategy, and the national security surveillance web we live with today. For his allies, he was a patriot who kept America safe and secure. For the critics, it was blurring morality in the name of safety. To understand Cheney's life is to understand the machinery of modern American power. And maybe that's a lesson we all need to learn. The best of decisions and the best of strategies happen behind closed doors. I'm Maheen Mustafa. Until next time.
American side, American side. Who tells the truth when the truth hides?